Hey everyone, it's Darren Benton with Performance Motor Coaches, coming to you from our little warehouse up here in Elkhart, Indiana. Purpose of this video today is to kind of reiterate some of our stuff about our show hall, so some of the bulk information that kind of seems to get lost at times, and then also highlight a coach. So lots to go over, lots to talk about. I'll try to keep myself from rambling too far on, but there's a lot of information to go in this video. So anyway, for people that don't know us, we're a dealership out of Texas. We're very hands-on on the Super Cs. We sell Renegade and Showhauler. Spend most of our time up here. It allows us to be able to walk every coach, be able to go through, make ideas. We see lots of the changes that we kind of come up with in collaboration with the manufacturer as rolling changes, whether it's a year model change or whether it's rolling mid-year. So very, very hands-on. What we do, I know all about these coaches. I can tell you I've been doing this for, as far as new sides since 2015. Been around them a lot. I've stayed in them, we've camped in them. My wife's camped in them. Sean camped in them. So this is our bread and butter. This is what we do. We're truck guys. We enjoy this. We know as much about them, I think, as probably any other dealer, probably a lot more, and being incredibly hands-on. So we'll talk about the coaches. So we sell more Renegades than we do Showhaulers simply because we get more Renegades. So obviously we cut our teeth back in the day on 2015 with Showhauler, then we picked up Renegade in 2020 during the pandemic. And we always kind of come back to Showhauler. The several different reasons to consider Showhauler. Number one, all steel construction. So there's no fiberglass. This is all steel underneath there. It's aluminum skin. The other is customization. You simply cannot do with any other manufacturer that's, like RVIA spec, that's a truck chassis motorhome. You cannot do what you can do with the Showhauler anywhere else. So lots of customizations, and we'll kind of go through and talk about so many of those things. So what we find is people that either want the all welded steel frame construction or more customization on, hey, I want this. There's things I want to change, and Renegade just simply because they're a more production company, they won't accommodate those things. So we'll jump into the Showhauler. This is the 2025 Hershey Show Coach. Did lots of cool things to this. This coach will be available for sale after the show there. We always go up, we kind of help the manufacturer out. We take it up there. Of course, we do lots of cool stuff here in the warehouse. We get it up there, so all they have to do is show up. We'll be there, throughout the show. This coach will not be available for sale at the show. We generally sell these things prior to. We like to kind of advertise about a week before. If we get a deposit, great. If we don't, they'll be available after the coach, after the show itself. So first and foremost, you'll look down here, something a little bit different. So this is an elevated bunk over. We have built a few of the elevated bunk overs in the past. So essentially that allows you more room up in the bunk over. That's an adult size bunk over. That's only 54 inches deep. Technically we could build that a full 60 inches deep front to back, but I think that's all in all. If you have adults, you're probably only gonna have one adult up there. But that's something that really nobody else is doing. So additional height. Additionally, we can do the air conditioner ducts blasting kind of straight into that bunk over. We can do windows, no windows. We can do big windows. We can do small windows. We can do frameless windows. We can do frame windows. Lots of different things we can do. Of course, this is an incredibly rigid rig. Basically, this is all steel. It's bolted to the back of the cab, so you get very little wind noise on these things compared to some other manufacturers. I think the FBI's coming to get us in a helicopter out there. So anyway, one thing that I do like, so basically they run this rubber seal on both sides. Is that keeping out water? Well, I mean, it's not really going to keep out water. It will keep out some wind. That does make a pretty big difference to be able to keep the wind from blasting in there. Cuts down a lot of the wind noise itself. To me, makes a drastic difference. The fact that everything is bolted, you don't have anything, there's no wood product that touches the cab itself. You get a lot less potential for creaks and rattles with this particular setup right here, and I've driven a lot of them. So the chassis itself, kind of my number one chassis, it's the Cascadia 126. So longer hood, has the little, close the door real quick. So the 126 has this little bar here. The 116 is a little bit shorter hood. The 126, you can get the 600 in. That's generally the most common motor. So this is the DD16, 15.6 liter, 600 horse, and 1850 torque. Is mated to the DT12 transmission. It's an automated manual transmission. So basically there's a little automatic gizmo. You know, imagine if you were blindfolded, you feel the throttle pull back a little bit, you'll feel it shift, and then the throttle engage back. So a little bit different than the Allison. Allison's pretty much going away for a while. I'm sure we'll see it, just don't know when. But I feel in this size of a rig, I like having 12 speeds versus 6 speeds. So a few different things, obviously a pretty cool paint job. I've been trying to incorporate more tans, grays, silvers together rather than just going a solid, trying to keep away from just doing grays or tans, trying to keep it all together. And Bob there at Showhauler kind of helped us with some of the colors inside, kind of let him do some colors, and then we like to do a few things on the outside. So really happy with the paint scheme. Now for people that have not had RVs, well, why do you want a white coach? It's hot. I don't like to sweat. Most people don't like to sweat. Can you paint this thing all black and keep cool? You can. It's going to be a lot harder. So that's the reason why I like to do all the white up top, where it's a little bit more difficult to clean. I kept it all white as you go up higher. So I like this paint job right here because it's going to stay cleaner, it's going to stay cooler, and just a little bit different. Not many paint jobs out there on the market like this. Went ahead and did the American Racing Octane. This is a satin finish wheel, but has black and a little bit of the aluminum finish to it. It's all clear coated wheel, so you don't have to worry about it getting dingy in time. Up front, tried to do this video the other day whenever our good friend Brett came up and brought us this grill guard. Probably the most expensive grill guard known to man, the fact that it was hand delivered from Texas up here by Brett there from the shop. But does have the 360 cams itself. Of course, the Herd grill guards, they're not offered in a powder coat. This is something we take and powder coat after the fact. Just kind of gives it a cool tie-in. Of course, all the black out. If you wanted this coach in all polished and all stainless, you can do that as well. So come around the side again. That's a Herd 200 grill guard. So I have a little bit of the protection in this area right here. Some of the other grill guards have a big gaping hole there. I'm not a big fan of that. You want some overall protection. Obviously out in West Texas we have a lot of hogs. Not a lot of hogs up here in Indiana. So maybe a small deer. So just the protection, nice, or just somebody that pulls up in front of you. It could be a bad day for those guys. So we'll come down the coach. So we'll kind of talk about what you can do. So let's say you came along and you said, hey, Darren, I've got this really long flagpole, and I want every one of these storage compartments combined right here. Right now, we just have this one combined, left to right, but we could combine all of them. You could do every single one of them. You could do 2, 3, whatever you might want. Of course, we generally will accommodate several different 110 plugs in all the baggage compartments as well. Just makes it handy to be able to plug, whether it's a drill charger or anything like that. Like to have a lot of 110s within the compartments. We generally do not spec out a outdoor cooler. We'll do a prep and the slide tray. So many different people have a preference on, I want a regular cooler, I want electric cooler, I want electric freezer and cooler. So not a problem to be able to accommodate whatever person might want. These are all manufactured in-house. If you damage one of these, we can obviously tell us coach number, blah, blah, blah. Second one on the right, we know the exact dimensions. We can get those things built, get them spit out in a pretty short period of time. Outdoor TV. So pretty much everything on a show hauler is a la carte. You can build a show hauler with basically no slides, no hydraulic leveling, no inverters. I mean, just basically a camper. I think you kind of be a fool to do that, but so everything is a la carte. So you don't have to do an outdoor TV. You don't have to do, you could do a top swing baggage door. You could do a 32-inch TV. You could do a different sound bar. Lots of different things you could do in a coach like this. Lots of different things. We're only 15 foot down the side of the motorhome. So we did the dual Girard awnings. Those are the Vision awnings that come downwards. And it's a 2-position awning. That guy needs brakes out there. Anyway, just kind of a nice clean look. It will come down and kind of cover the side of the coach itself. So tandem axles here. I'm on a video. Bye. Figure out a way to cut that out. Downtown Elkhart gets a little rough at times. So back to the coach. Helicopters, squeaky brakes, we got it all. Always interesting. You'll be careful about being down here after dark. So back to the coach. So what's going on here? So we do an onboard power wash. It's something we do to all of our Hershey show rigs. For people that don't know, that was my first venture into business, was doing power washing, detailing back in high school, and then did some other stuff mid-college, but I'm still a cleaner by nature. I clean all my own stuff, clean the cars, like to power wash the deck. So that's my little water setup right here, reverse osmosis. We fill these coaches with nice spot-free water, get them out to Hershey, and we scrub them ourselves. My lovely bride participates as well. So we have a 100-gallon water tank below this coach. There's a total of 250 gallons of water on board. That is a deionizing system right there. Of course, with the reverse osmosis water, you don't need that. Makes it pretty handy, so we just bypass that. Just use the coach water on board. So I think that's like 2,500 PSI, about 3 gallons a minute. So, probably not a big rig washer, but it's great for a coach like this. So you'll notice the placement of most components on a Showhauler are very consistent. So part of that is the way the unit is built. So all the plumbing is above the floor running around. You don't have a subfloor. The nice thing about that is if you have a leak, you can generally get to that leak. Makes it incredibly handy. Okay, we have a problem. Where's it at? Oh, well, it's right there. I'll show you some of the chases on the inside of the coach. Everything is very accessible. Basically, what I tell people, how are Showhaulers built? Well, if you were a builder by nature, if you were, very mechanically inclined, this is probably the way that you would build it. There's some things that maybe take a little bit longer, things that maybe aren't floor plan friendly. Maybe they're not friendly in the way of production, but very simplistic builds, very easy to use, very easy to operate, very easy to service after the fact itself. So where's this go, kids? This will either go into a cabinet or below the shower. That's the reason why you see generally the hydronic heater right below something that goes straight up in and then kind of branch out from there. So this is a 50,000 BTU. This is a Oasis. It's from ITR. They're based up in the Northwest. They do all kinds of marine applications, very easy company to deal with. They've not been bought out by a big corporate conglomerate that we all don't like to think about. But anyway, so easy to company to be able to talk to. You can pick up the phone. Hey, I got this problem. Well, let me walk you through it. Not, hey, I'm going to send you to your nearest dealer that you may or may not get taken care of. So I like these guys. Fun to deal with. This is a dual zone system. We do have hydronic registers in our wet bays as well that will piggyback off. You could technically do like an 80,000 BTU, but I think this 50,000 BTU does a good job. Does have dual electric elements, and we would go ahead and plumb into the engine as well. So these are all fully locking. The Trimark keypad or the key fob will operate these, and the entry door itself. So see down the side, we got a gazillion, not a gazillion, but we have 3 different exterior security lights. Of course, the porch light standard. I like to do 3 on the right, 3 on the left, and 2 on the rear. Of course, you'll see the lights up top there. They're integrated in the awning. Those are fake profiles on the side, but you'll still have that same awning or the same LED light configuration in there, which kind of a nice, cool, clean look to it itself. We do have additional clearance lights. This is another thing I like to have. There's main lights down the side of the coach. I don't know why we don't have one right here. I guess I'll put like a button on there, super glue a button on there. I'd rather have them just, aesthetically. This was called for 20 additional clearance lights, but I think we might be missing one. But we got a coach that I think we did 130 extra clearance lights. Never again will I be able to do 130 clearance lights on the exterior one. So this is a nice setup right here as far as kind of you know, shining up the outside without too much work on the guys at Showhauler. So that does have the 360 cams. Because this has the grill guard on it, we've pretty much filled our little shop up here. I'll talk around the corner. I don't know how much of this you can pick up. So nice welded steel, welded aluminum ladder there. We do have a big 40,000-pound hitch, a few different hitch assemblies that go in it. We generally will set them up with dual 2-inch receivers, be able to, you know, bike rack things like that if you're flat towing. Do have additional clearance lights on the back and some tail lights as well. So I really like the way the paint scheme turned out. Lots of good compliments on this. And the cool thing is basically, I mean, we could make this one-on-one where it can't be really duplicated. You could probably try to match it to a certain degree. Showhauler uses a little bit different paint design than anybody else out there in the market, so it kind of keeps that a little bit more protected, so you generally won't see lots of repetition with the Showhauler paint schemes. 3 ACs up top, they do have heat strips as opposed to heat pumps, something I prefer. The heat pumps don't work worth a darn once it gets below about 40 degrees. The heat strips do. It does have an airbag overinflate, so like if you're going through a low spot, you have to worry about dragging your rear end, hit a little switch on the dash, and that will raise up the back of the coach about 3.5 inches. Just might get you out of a little bind at times. Gotta be cautious walking out here. You like the big X up top? So 120-gallon fuel tank on board here. Single 120-gallon versus any kind of dual like that. I think it's a better setup. Of course, we powder coated these steps here locally. Changed all the handles out. Heated, cooled seats. These are not turning pedestal seats. We could change those out if a person had to have. We do have the 360 cam monitor up top. We don't have a hitch cam on this, but something we can easily add. We generally add, if we do that, we'll add like a secondary Garmin on the right-hand side of the dash. That's all easy stuff we can do at the dealership. We've added 3 Garmins to people's units, so it's something very easy for us to do after the fact. But we do the Husky molded floor liners here. Nice setup to keep the floor nice and clean. Be able to take those out, clean things up. So we've got our chassis batteries there on the left-hand side. We do have the house batteries over here on the right-hand side. Well, back there left. So 4 270 amp hour batteries there. We got the lithium BIM that right back in the very rear, and then we do have a quick disconnect. We'd like to use that because we don't have an air compressor here at the shop. I got a little handheld one, but I'll take and do that, blow out the cab. Makes it nice to be able to blow out the cab, get all this, you know, sawdust, shaving, stuff like that out of the cab. We can, of course, do all the storage compartments as well. So come over here. This is the Multi Plus 2. This is a 50 amp pass-through inverter. Why is that fuse panel open? Well, I got a little overzealous with the power washer today. Got the hose reel switch wet, and it didn't like, it tried to keep on trying to roll up, so I needed to dry it out. Just need to put that fuse back in, put the panel back on. This is one thing that I've been working pretty hard with the guys at Showhauler, kind of cleaning up their electrical bays here. The guy that loves Scotch locks had to go, so I'm pretty happy with the way things are continuing to be cleaned up. That's one definite sign of pride in your craftsmanship and workmanship. Was able to bring some, so you won't see any more of those relay banks come along anymore. Actually able to integrate a fuse panel with relay banks, so it'll look more automotive style. It's kind of crazy that the RV world is kind of far back behind in the terms of any kind of wiring harness, things like that. I mean, you go look at certain manufacturer starts with an N at $1 million, and it's far worse than that. So happy that the guys at Showhauler are listening about continue to kind of clean up their wiring in their bay. So it's nice and straight. I think it looks pretty darn good. Another big thing, it's, whenever I sold solely show haulers and only sold against Renegade. I mean, I would just kind of hit them at every single turn. So perfect example right here. So generator placement. Problem with another manufacturer is the generator's always rearwards the axle. Up here in Indiana, not a big deal. Out in West Texas, Arizona, California, it's dusty all the time. So if you're running that generator, you know, you're obviously going to run over a little bit of dirt. You know, the tires and wheels are going to surf a little bit of dirt, and then the generator just continues on. So it's nice to have the generator placement up here. Air filter stays cleaner. Everything stays cleaner as far as the radiator. So to me, it just kind of makes sense to have the generator right here versus rearwards the axle. Part of that is the way that they're built. So some manufacturers just simply cannot do that. So the waste tanks are right below the floor, and so instead of any plumbing going through the floor, like I said, everything is above the floor itself. So this waste tank right here will accommodate the galley. This half bath goes to the rear sets of tanks, so that slides raised up just slightly, and then we have plumbing that's goes on the inside and then goes down in the waste tank. So once you start to kind of look at some show haulers, you'll understand why. Makes a lot more sense once you start looking at the waste tanks and kind of why they do things and where things, and the reason why you can't do certain floor plans. There are just certain things that cannot happen with the way they do things. But the simplicity of it is no subfloor. You don't have to worry about anything freezing in a subfloor. Everything is very accessible. And of course, we gain a little bit more storage. So right here, you know, normally this is all taken up. So we gain this nice big storage compartment here on the left-hand side. Of course, we gain a little bit of waste as well. Person wanted to add more batteries, we could easily move those chassis batteries and be able to stack another set of those batteries inside there. But I figure really and truly for the 270 amp hour batteries is really all a person really needs. So one thing a little bit different, and I think it just makes more sense, you know, running less wire. So you got your transfer switch, and then rather than running all the way into the coach and then running out of the coach to your inverters and all the way back to your 50 amp plug and whatnot. So basically they split things up. So you'll have power that runs to your inverter, you'll have power that services your main electrical panel, and then your inverter panel then, you know, basically connects down. So you don't have lots of redundancy in wire, you have less wire run. I think it's a little bit simpler to be able to diagnose. So, I mean, if we have things, you know, if we have issues, I can go from here to here and then there versus, oh, well, let's go inside. Oh, well, this is outside. So to me, it just makes more sense to be able to have this panel right here. I can isolate things much easier with just having short runs of electrical. So we'll come back to wet bay. The guys at Showhauler have been listening about cleaning things up in their wet bay. They used to have a gazillion little, oh, we'll do this and this and this. So we have some really nice labels. We take and remove all these labels. They're nice little placards that would go into place, and we'll have all those things in place once we get the unit back to Texas. So obviously a lot going on in the wet bay here. So we do have an outdoor shower, a nice hot outdoor shower. So that's one thing that these trucks have been lacking for quite some time. I don't want to have to wash my feet off with, you know, if it's cold outside, I don't want to have to wash the dog in really cold water. I would want some warm water. So we have a warm water feed out here. That pulls out as nice marine grade shower there. So that's the output to the extra 100 gallon water tank. So we have an input here, and that, of course, that's your black tank flush. And then that would be your freshwater input. So lots of different things that are going on in this wet bay. We'll get everything kind of cleaned up in the way of labels with some arrows. But the next major thing we're going to try to push Showhauler to do, and we got some coaches that are coming, is have some monitoring outside. Of course, they've gone to the Mira app in the Firefly, so you can, you know, pull your phone out. I just don't want to have to pull the phone out. I would rather have a monitor out here that lets me know what my tanks are doing. Of course, if you overflow your freshwater tank, it goes straight down on the ground, so it's not the end of the earth. But slowly cleaning things up. You'll notice once you get it back home, these will go away. Everything will look a little bit nicer once we get it back home. So like we talked about, all the security lights on the left-hand side, 3 on the left, 3 on the right, and 2 on the rear. So we'll just kind of start talking about, okay, so what can you do? If you wanted a wider door, if you wanted a door with no window, that's something we could get done obviously in a show hauler compared to most manufacturers are going to say no. A little bit different step here as well. Notice that the other Lippert steps are starting to get a little spongy, so I've been pretty happy with these drawer type. Not great for West Texas because you need to keep those lube, but then the dirt sticks to them, but not a problem. Come in for a free wash job and we clean and lube it. So, but really nice heavy duty door here. I'll go ahead and have my bride go in first. I'll close the door. So, as we discussed, everything is very customizable on the interior. So, we're obviously a little bit tight right here, and somebody say, well, why would you make this so tight? Well, this is a flip over couch. So, with a televator and a full flip over couch, it just takes a lot of space. I get through here no problem. I don't think it's a small price to pay to be able to have a couch here. We sell a lot of these floor plans to either people that have kids or grandkids. They don't want to dedicate the entire coach to bunk beds. So this is a nice setup right here. If somebody says, hey, you know, whether it's my kids, adult kids, grandkids up there, you can fully flip this out. And guess what? I don't want to sit on that couch. I'd rather sit on if I'm the coach owner, I'd much rather be on this nice theater seat, watch the TV here. To me, it just kind of makes sense to have this floor plan set as such here. So, but of course, matter your preference, but I just kind of think it works out. You know, in the previous years, we built 2 show haulers without this and no window. I just like to have the window here, so I'm willing to put up with a little bit here. I'm over 200 pounds. I've got no problem getting in and out of this coach. So kind of wanted to highlight that. I'll run the slide outs out. So very simple Lithco electric slide, not much to it, very serviceable. Don't really have many issues out of these Lithco slides. So same type slide mechanism left and right. Show hauler started doing a little bit larger slide to accommodate the refrigerator here. The only downfall, previously the half bath would go below the fixed refrigerator here to go in the waste tanks. That's why we lifted the rear slide to be able to send that waste further back. So basically this front waste tank is just for the galley here. And for people that are extremely technical, you might say, well, how do you get your water lines and hydronic lines up here? Well, take them in the channel over the door. The fact that you're running hydronic next to your fresh water in the wall, you're going to have circulation of heat right next to that, so you don't have to worry about that. Of course, the thickness of the walls is completely different. We use spray foam. The walls are furred out. Lots of different things that are built more like a home and less like an RV. Check out the thickness of the roof in this thing. So if you said, hey, Darren, I want to buy this unit, but I need more lights. We get up, we pull a few lights out, we figure out what's up in there. We can add more lights, we can add ceiling speakers, lots of different things. I'd like to be able to have that really thick ceiling itself. It affords the air conditioner vents to be a little bit, or the ducting itself to be a little bit larger than the industry. So they do a good job at keeping this thing really cool. Lots of circulation of air. Small things like that that simply people don't think about because it hinders production. It's a nice thing. These guys do take a while to build a coach, but I mean, small little things you can really appreciate once you've seen them. So run the back slide outs out. So we'll talk about some options and amenities you can do in a show hauler that you generally can't with most manufacturers. So if you want Corian, if you want granite, if you want quartz, lots of different options. I mean, total countertops, I mean, you're hundreds, if not thousands, potential options. We've had customers say, you know what, I want different countertop here than I want in the back. You might have to pay the piper, but we won't tell you no. So lots of different things we can done. We got some that are coming. Customer was adamant about doing a dual basin, so we got a dual basin. Our next thing, we want to be able to shore this up a little bit and have a little bit less depth coming out from the wall itself. But I like this floor plan right here. In our Renegades, this floor plan is typically set up with a full-length cabinet. Yeah, you gain a little bit of storage, but I kind of like the openness of this. This is generally the numero uno coffee bar. She's waving her head, coffee bar. So nice setup right here to be able to have the coffee bar. I'm certain that she will glue her coffee machine so it doesn't get knocked off at Hershey. It won't be tea time at 3, it'll be coffee time for Shauna Lee every afternoon about 3. So we'll talk about cabinets. You know, okay, Darren, I like this floor plan, but I want to build something. My wife has this giant mixer that we need to take this whole area and pull this giant mixer out. Well, that's some of the things you can do being Showhauler. Everything is kind of one-off. They generally won't allow us to design every single cabinet in it, but a lot of times I will request an elevation drawing of just the kitchen area, just to be able to accommodate, you know, people have different cooking needs, wants and wishes. I don't believe everybody can agree with exact perfect kitchen, so nice to be able to kind of accommodate different things that a person might want. Maybe you don't want a window there. Maybe you want all backsplash. Maybe you want something a little bit different. Not a problem to be able to take and accommodate that. Same deal over here. Lots of different things you could potentially do. Like floor tile. I mean, if MSI makes it and we get our hands on it through Menards, Home Depot, I mean, we can basically do any tile. Ultra leather. So we use Villa furniture. If you haven't seen a gazillion different ultra leathers, I mean, we can show you a pile of stuff we have. So there again, for somebody that wants to build something just a little bit different than ABC 1, 2, 3. But I think this is a great floor plan. Oddly enough, we seem to, you know, even though aesthetically the bunk covers look, you know, a little clunky compared to an aero cap, that's our most common, just because people like that storage, whether they use it once a year, whether they buy it for their grandkids and they never come. Very, very common to have the bunk over. Like I said, nice having the elevated bunk over, nice cabinets over there on the right-hand side. Look at the size of that monster window on the left. You can wave to all the neighbors. So kind of like the setup, like this big opening in and out of the cab itself. Very easy to get in and out of there. Of course, we have our hydronic heat up here. There again, the consistency of the heat, you know, some of the manufacturers only have heat within the kitchen. You know, you got this big openness area right here. A lot of people want to have some more heat up here, so that affords that with the hydronic register back in there. So very simple AC covers here. There again, I just think it makes sense to be able to service your ACs. I don't like a unit where you can't get to the ACs. Those are things I need to be able to get to. I want to feel them. I want to touch them. I want to, you know, see if there's any issues. I want to be able to clean them as well. To me, it kind of makes sense to be able to have this type AC. This is a Coleman Mach, but they're the roughneck version, so a little bit stouter version used for more industrial applications. A couple $100 more for that. Why would you not do that? So big windows here. So these are frameless windows. We could have done a framed window. Lots of push. Obviously, you know, people that have seen my Renegade videos, you see I do all big picture windows, generally not opening at all. The issue is, I don't want to delicately put this. Sometimes there's different rules for different manufacturers in the way of egress. Seems like there's been some different conversation on egress cab versus window, mid-entry. I don't know the rules at all, but I think there's been definitely some push to be able to do just the big picture windows. I don't know how I could possibly not get out of there or there and have to get out there. I'm not jumping out that window. It's going to be a bad day for me to jump out that window. You know, I think I can blaze to that door, but what do I know? I'm not the RVIA inspectors, but I like this, be able to see this, you know, not have that that openness, or have the openness without blocking the view Unfortunately, that is what it is, the way to have that egress window there. But still nice openness to be able to see out the windows here. So nice dovetail drawer construction, clipped sound bar. There'll be a subwoofer back underneath the dinette. Nice setup right there to be able to accommodate all your trash. Single basin sink. And then the TV lift is right there. Do have a little bit of storage back in there and there. And then some of that plumbing you could see down underneath. Be able to get to if you ever have any issues. I kind of like flipping this right here to be able to accommodate, use this as a pantry. We could take all these out and be able to use it as a hanging closet if you needed. Same deal here. If you weren't a big cooker, wouldn't be able to use this as a closet. So I've been pushing to get rid of the old louvered RV washer dryer. So started this about a year ago. There again, I think it just kind of makes sense. Aesthetically, it looks a lot nicer. We generally will do some sort of strip lights in most closets, pantries and whatnot. I think it just kind of classes up a little bit until you get a whole bunch of lint back there. Bad day for Shauna Lee. Get to cleaning. It's gonna be a little tough to get your tide out of there, but have to have a little bit of ceiling fans, just regular controls versus Firefly integration. So nice solid surface undermount sink. This little switch right here for people that have been in these coaches whenever the heat's running. These baths get wicked hot, so you can basically shut off the heat will still circulate, but you don't have the fan that runs, and that's what gets the bathroom so hot. So it's a big push we've always done on these coaches. Of course, we do have the Techno toilet. You have to do a Techno toilet here because we're right over the top of an axle, so keep that in mind. So electrical, pulling the electrical out of your kitchen, putting them in a cabinet that's not very valuable. There again makes sense. So they do some overrides. So there was lots of hesitancy bringing everything into the Firefly. So they do independent controls for your slide outs if you have any kind of issues. Same for your awnings, they don't bring those in. That's generally what we see is the communication break between the Firefly and whatever module is trying to get whatever thing to operate. Things like lights, really not a big deal, reverse polarity type stuff, but I like this setup a lot better. There again, we got rid of the standard louvers and did these. So I think it kind of classes it up a little bit. So come around back here, a little bit different setup because like I said, we had to bring that up because we have waste that will go below that. So instead of having a drawer set, we just have cabinet doors underneath here. But you can still be able to put some, you know, shoes, socks, underwear, things like that. I like doing the two drawers right here. Central vac. And then this does flip up. Cedar lined, and then we do have some lights back on either side. Put that back in place. So there is no service to the bed itself because of the way the slide mechanism. We do have a little service port there on the side, but it doesn't flip up. We do have 2 75-gallon water tanks below the bed itself. 80-inch long mattress, 72 inches wide. We have fan control there. We do have a master Firefly control underneath. Lots of different Firefly panels, but you know, like right here, you'll see me in a lot of the videos. I don't have nearly this much room with a 72-inch wide bed. Showhaulers seem to grow a little bit, you know, a few inches compared to the competition, but this is what you get, and I think it's kind of a no-brainer. Mama gets in here on a hot day and has to make the bed, and she gets shoved in here. She gets angry, becomes a bad day. So give her a little more room. She gets in there. Same for me. Get in here and get back there and not get squished. A few inches, extra inches definitely makes a big difference. So come around back here. Nice tile showers. You'll see most Showhaulers with tile showers as opposed to any kind of a solid surface. Because their units vary a few inches because people change things up, it's obviously much easier for these guys to do a tile shower versus having to, you have to commit to X number of solid silver showers, and then if things change, it becomes a bigger pain, but obviously makes it look a little bit nicer to have the tile shower. We do have the 2 shower insets, lots of room for your Garnier Fructis and your mane and tail and everything else, natural fruits and berries. So there again, you won't see me build any stock coaches with the skylight. They get hot. They get hot and they leak, and I'm not a fan. So convertible shelving here that will move around. There again, we like to do the big tile all the way up the wall there. But lots of different accommodations. So, okay, Darren, I would really rather have a window. I can build in with the window. Just we're going to take out a little bit of storage. So we could do a small cabinet there, window there, but lots of different customization for whatever person might want. So basically we pull the top of that cabinet, and then we could pull that back in that bathroom, and we could run whatever we needed to run from here to here. Of course, we could take and pull that out. So lots of different things. Like I said, if you're a mechanically minded guy like me, I'm like, well, how do I fix it? And I want to be able to touch things and feel them, and that's the easiest way for me to fix it. So regular manual flusher right here. It's always nice to have one that will always work. Gravity always seems to work. You open, go straight down. We do it over here because the tank gets a little bit wider as it comes over to this side, so keep that in mind. There again, just kind of a matter of preference. If you say, Darren, I want a window there, I want a window there, not a problem. If you want a window on the back, we're going to have to do a solid metal back. But those are things we could do that you just simply can't do with most every other manufacturer. We could do big window here, no TV. We've got a coach that's coming that we did. We're going to do a projector over there, and then we're taking his roller shade, and it'll be used as as a, what's the term I'm looking for? Viewing screen or whatever. Anyway, so lots of different things we could obviously do. It's just kind of crazy to think about things. If you're like, Darren, I can't think of an uglier piece of hardware. No problem. We'll build the coach without any hardware, and we'll accommodate whatever hardware you might want at the dealership. If you don't want windows on the side of the bed, if you want windows, if you want small windows, there's lots of different things that we can do. Now, if you want to slide 3 inches taller, 3 inches narrower, or anything like that, it's not going to happen. So there are limitations within what we call custom, but it's nice to be able to accommodate people's different wants and wishes. You start talking about a home, most people that are looking at a $500,000 to $700,000 motorhome probably going to have a home that's valued in several $1 million, and they want to be able to pick their backsplash. They want to be able to pick their countertop. Lots of different things to be able to show off their own individuality, and I totally get it. It's crazy. You go to CorianneQuartz.com and you can see hundreds of these. So it's not one size fits all. Same for your ultra leather. You got hundreds of those. I mean, obviously with tile, big tile, small tile, lots of different things, polished, honed, lots of things that are out there. So I'll go back to the overall construction. This is all welded steel frame. We have incredibly thick walls. We have spray foam walls. We have spray foam ceiling. So there's basically nothing out there on the market is built quite like these things. There are some companies that build, but the big deal is, in my opinion, is to be RVIA. You want somebody to fall within the specs that say this is an RV and this is the way we build, and they will come in for periodic inspections. You want them to be in basically the JD Power / NADA guide. If you need to be able to get financing on that, those are things that you kind of have to fall within the confines of. So even though there's conversion, there are some beautiful people that are building some conversions. Keep in mind, you really want to be able to protect your investment. So lots of different things like that. Now, as far as Showhauler goes, timing, we're still, 8-9 months out. There was up to about a 2-year wait there for a while. So it's coming back in. They are getting a little bit faster. I think these units were 120 to 160 days. I think they're down to a little over 100 days. So things are speeding up a little bit. But you talk to the rest of the RV world and you spit out 100 days and they think you are absolutely insane. They take their time, they go through things. To be able to accommodate all these different wants and wishes, it takes more time. So kind of keep that in mind. But if you're looking for something that's a little bit different, if you're wanting something that's a little bit off, if you have a current production coach and want something a little bit different, of course, there's a huge push to the Super C market right now as people are tired of the diesel pushers, so that's a big pushback to these trucks. They ride and drive great, just kind of my personal preference, and they have phenomenal resale. So lots of different things we covered in this video. We will be out at Hershey. I don't even know my dates. Basically, it'll be the week after Labor Day. That's from Wednesday to Sunday. Coach will be on display. Bob, the talented Bob Morgan, will be there. Come by and stump Bob. He'll give you a free cookie for every time you stump him. And then this coach will be headed to Texas after the Hershey RV Show. Always appreciate you guys watching these videos. Make sure you like, tag, and subscribe.